Hello traders. In this podcast or video, I'd like to discuss money management and how much you should be spending per trade. Now, in another video, I talk extensively about what to expect as far as a return and how much can be made. But in this video and podcast, I'd like to just explain how to calculate that amount. We have a lot of Signal subscribers, which, by the way, receive the same trades that our copy traders receive, but with Signals, you manually trade on your own as opposed to receiving our trades on autopilot. So, how do you calculate a per pip or a per lot rate per trade? So, for the sake of this video, for this example, let's use 1% per trade. What this means is, if you have a $10,000 Forex balance, that means that on a single trade at 1% risk, you should not lose more than $100. In other words, if your account goes negative $100, you have reached 1%, and you should not trade more. You should stop your trade at that. If you are trading with a 2% per trade, then that would mean your total amount that you can afford to lose would be $200. But for the sake of this podcast, let's just stick with 1% per trade. Why do we do this? Well, we have another video on money management. Listen to it, and it goes into this in far greater detail. But why do we trade 1 to 2% per trade? We don't want to blow up our account. We don't want to lose a trade that is going to put our account at risk. Most traders that blow their accounts up are trading 5%, 10%, 50% per trade. And this is gambling, and it's just a matter of time before the house wins and you lose. So we trade 1 to 2% per trade. If you're a newbie, you should trade 1% or 0.5% per trade. If you're seasoned and experienced and you know exactly what you're doing to place a trade, then 2% is okay. But 1 to 2% is the norm, and it really shouldn't go above that. So how do we calculate this? When you have a stop loss, your stop loss should be the equivalent of what your 1 or 2% per trade should be. So for example, if you have a stop loss of 100 pips, this would be more like a swing trade or a longer term trade. If you have a stop loss with 100 pips, that 100 pips needs to equal, at 1%, it needs to equal $100. If you're trading at 2% per trade, then that 100 pips should equal $200. This is how you trade properly with the correct amount per trade. All the time, 100% of the time, your stop loss should be the equivalent of the percentage that you trade. If you're trading any other way than that, you're trading wrong and you shouldn't trade. Money management is key to making money in Forex. So, whatever your stop loss is, that needs to be the equivalent of what you're willing to lose, which should be that 1 to 2%. If you have a 20 pip stop loss, but that 20 pips, you can see what that 20 pips will be based on the lot price that you are willing to risk. If that 20 pips equals 20% of your account balance, you're trading way, way too much. You need to dial it down so that you're only trading that 1 to 2% per trade based solely on your stop loss. And then just another piece of advice, you should be trading around a 1-to-1 or greater risk to return. So for an example, if you're trading $1 to make $2 or $3, this is great. You should never be trading $1 to make 25 cents or 50 cents. This is common sense, but if your stop loss is 3 times the size of what your take profit is going to be, then you should not enter that trade. So I hope this helps. Please leave your comments below if you guys have anything to add or you want to ask any questions. You can comment or you can email us directly. We're here to help. Hopefully this video finds you well. Thank you, traders.